Hello and welcome to the No More Trauma podcasts and online sessions, as I like to call them. My name is Tanya, and I am a trauma survivor and trauma-informed yoga teacher, coach, and wellness facilitator. I'm also the author of the Happy Deck, and so you can use this tool in your very own healing practice. And so the purpose of this podcast and online session, so you can find, if you're listening on Apple iTunes or SoundCloud, or actually watching it, the recording session on YouTube, welcome. And if this isn't your first episode, welcome back. So formerly known as the Get Your Happy podcast, this is now what is here to stay, the No More Trauma, and I'm a Stay Trauma-Free podcast. And like I stated, I said before, I do like to call these audio sessions. So welcome, and so the purpose is really to offer inspiration, healing, and mental health tips on how to live a trauma-free lifestyle or to live life after trauma. So in this particular episode, we will discuss self-sabotage. Woohoo! Oh my goodness. So I invite you to grab something to write with or something to write on if you feel like you like to take notes. And if that's something you're not called to do and you just like to rewind something that you feel is, resonated, feel free to do that. Share this with anyone who, could also benefit from it. But anyway, self-sabotage. Ooh, oh my goodness, why do I feel like this is right on time? Is it just me? So self-sabotage can be a challenging habit to break for some people. We look at other people's lives and sometimes tell ourselves we are unworthy of the experiences or achievements, right? And so we may confuse comfort, yes, with worn out beliefs or actions, sometimes that aren't even ours, right? Carrying someone else's belief. And it keeps us from living our full potential, okay? So we start to tell ourselves that due to our traumatic experiences, we aren't capable of taking responsibility for our healing. Woo, okay, we're getting into it today. For our own healing. Listen, we're in this together because I'm saying this out loud and I'm like, oh no. I can feel the healing starting to happen right now. So our very own healing, accepting and reclaiming our wholeness. Ooh. All right, we're gonna take it there today. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm actually, if you're into this kind of thing, and in terms of the moon cycles, and I know we're in a space this weekend that I'm recording this. Today's the 14th of May. However, I believe this won't actually air until Thursday. So whatever date that is, I'm not looking at the calendar right now. So about, what is that? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. So in this session, we will discuss how you can maneuver past self-sabotage to beginning to really own your past habits, those unhealthy habits, and starting to trust yourself to live authentically. Ooh. Come on, it's about to get juicy. So yes, if you are guilty of it, we're all guilty of it. I know we are, especially if you have some sort of, trauma. There is this, this notion that we begin to keep an old thought or phrase on repeat. And so anytime we're starting to step outside of that comfort zone, we begin to press play on that old thoughts, right? That old phrase, we start to press play on that and let that sit on replay and loop the whole entire time to keep us in this very same space. Okay, we're getting into it. So what is self-sabotage, right? So self-sabotage is harmful. It can be harmful, yes. Harmful self-limiting beliefs, intentions, or actions that can keep you away from living a fulfilling lifestyle. Okay, so if you're walking around, woe is me, and there's something in your gut that's telling you that you want more, and so, but this is the life I live. Okay, we gotta do something here, right? We have to figure out what's happening, right? What are the thoughts? What are these limiting thoughts that we're holding on to, right? Because that may be a comfortable place that we feel, that we're deserved, that we feel that we deserve, and we are meant to stay there. Okay, I'm preaching before I even before I even get started. So self-sabotage can cripple you with fear, right? It cripples you with fear, and it allows you to cling on to those insecurities from achieving your goals, right? Enjoying a healthy relationship or friendship, or experiencing your very own personal growth. Okay, so take a moment, as I just said all of that, right? I just mentioned what we're discussing. I also talked about what self-sabotage looks like. So take a moment to just examine the body, examine the breath, notice where you are. Okay, and I want you to think about that one thing you want right here, right now. So as you're listening in, maybe you're listening, from Apple or SoundCloud, or maybe you're watching this recorded session live, recorded on YouTube. Okay. So just take a moment to think about that one thing that you want. Okay. Maybe it's maybe it's a new degree, a new skill, right? Maybe it's entering a new I would say a raise. So asking your boss for a raise, right? Maybe it's that condo downtown. Maybe it's that car. Maybe it's that healthy connection, right? Maybe maybe it's, and I'm just calling out things, so it's not connected to anything, but I'm just calling out things. Maybe it's that new printer. I have no idea. I'm just calling out things, right? That new luxury style decor for your, new bathroom, maybe some upgrades. Or maybe it's moving out of the country. Or maybe it's to adopt. Maybe you want to adopt a little one, child, baby. And so what thoughts or belief do you have around that raise, that new car, that new skill? Take a moment to breathe. Notice your breath. Notice if you're holding any tension. relationship, healthy one. That new home out of the country, that new printer, starting the paperwork for adoption. Okay, so what limiting thoughts do you have around that thing, right? What's delaying you or keeping you on the detour, right? Yeah. So just kind of sit with that for a moment, that belief, that thought, that rejection. Just sitting with that for a moment. Just inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Okay. So just allowing you to come back to the session so that way we can continue on to see how do we get past this self-sabotage, right? Okay. So what I love is Dr. Ramani. She says the easy way to actually the easy way to describe self-sabotage is that it explains, sometimes it explains that the thought or belief that I have supports my own failure to obtaining it. Ooh, ooh. So maybe this belief, right, it keeps me from owning and accepting that this is something I wish to achieve, or this is something that I wish to own, or this is something that I wish to explore. In accepting the idea that it's failure anyway, that I may not even get it, or I may not travel to that country, or I may not meet that, healthy someone, or that, I won't get the raise, right? Or I won't, get into the program. Maybe I'm using that belief to support the idea of failure. So I'd rather stay where I am. And I'd rather keep that phrase, that old thought or behavioral pattern on loop. So I go with that and I stay where I am. So, and I just want to take a moment to say, if you're listening and you may hear like a light thump, to just hone in on the content of what I'm saying, just because I do live in a community, and I think my neighbor, what I'm trying to say is I think my neighbor is practicing his drums today. So if you hear the thump, maybe tap your feet a bit, but continue listening to the content. So thank you. So that old thought or pattern keeps us stuck, right? It keeps us, we commit ourselves to the toxic, and I don't like to really use the word toxic. I like to use unhealthy. I just think that word has been used over and over again. And so, anywho, we commit to the unhealthy thought pattern that sits on loop, rather than committing to the idea that I just might. Okay, I'm going way ahead, but I'm just saying, we're going to get there. And so Dr. Ramani says it right. So what does self-sabotage look like, right? It's self-inflicting harm, right? It's self-inflicting harm, like negative self-talk, right? Beliefs, thoughts. Physical behaviors can look like, procrastination, sitting with the thought, the idea, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it when. I'm going to get to it when. I'm going to get to it when the kids get older. I'm going to get to it, when I lose weight. I'm going to get to, my own healing when I have more time in my schedule. I'm going to get to it when, my goodness, when we move. And so what it does is it's neglect in our own desires, right? It's not owning it, being able to take those steps. It can also self-sabotage can also be abusive to our own self. It can go as far as overeating or neglecting the body and not eating enough, right? And, because some thought, in our mind about, whatever was, possibly stated or believed about, eating a balanced meal. Okay. I'm not good enough to eat fruits and vegetables, or I'm not good enough to allow myself to be hydrated. I'm not worthy of, exploring the produce section or going to the farmer's market. Okay. It can also look like something as severe as cutting, self-cutting, so self-inflicting harm, where we begin to, use sharp objects and puncture skin and, and bleed out. So it can also look as severe as that, right? That we're not worthy of, emotional stability. And so we begin to create self-harm. So what does it sound like? So you may have heard me, kind of say some of the things already. Is it may sound like, oh, I'm never going to get that job. People like me, I can never work in a place like that. I can never allow myself to walk into a conference room and be able to articulate, in a presentation, my desire or my pitch for my very own business. Or I could never make friends with individuals like that because they don't hang with people like me. I don't come from luxuries like them. It can also sound like I can't afford to pack up my things and move across the country. I can't see myself in a healthy relationship, right? I cannot see myself making the money to pursue high-end things to place in my bathroom and complete the upgrades. So you should see where I'm going, and you should start to hear if any of these words are starting to fit into your very own dialogue, right? Maybe having kids or adopting is not for me. I'm not good enough to be a mother, or I'm not good enough. My history says that I'm not fit to be a good parent or a parental figure, or I'm not healthy enough to, I don't know, I'm just giving some examples here, and like I stated, you may start to see some alignment, right? You may start to see some alignment with that. There was an example that a hypnosis explained that when we begin to attach ourselves to this old thought and we use a different excuse to set it up as failure. So for example, when you may hear someone say, well, I hate rich people. And I hate to use the word hate because it's such a, it's an intense word. But, I don't like rich people. Or say, they use in a video, in a telling, she used a example of someone in a fancy car, a luxury car, pulling off in front of you, cutting you off from traffic, and you say, oh, well, I can't stand those, that person anyway. And so what it is that it really ties into the idea, the attachment of money. And so underlining that is not feeling worthy to make enough or to ask for that raise or to see yourself bringing in a higher level of income. And so when you see individuals of luxuries, you see yourself distancing or saying harmful things about individuals that fit into the luxuries in which you wish to have. Can you believe that? It all ties in together, because what happens is that self-sabotage is a subconscious, right? It's a subconscious thought or belief that we have. Woo, it's so deep. We're going. We have so much to talk about today. So, just take a moment to, start to, again, just see if there's any alignment in your ideas or, thinking, thought patterns. Okay. So now that we know what it sounds like, right? So how does this tie in with trauma? Okay. So self-sabotage post-trauma, right, is difficulty. It's a really difficult family dynamic where you experience some sort of abuse, abandonment, enmeshment, over-involvement, or neglect. Okay, this can also be in relation to, friends, relationship, finances, career, and self, right? So, again, it really just ties into that involvement, whether it be around, parental figures or legal guardians, and it's how they experience something and how that dialogue has then, I like to say, like a sponge, just really kind of seeped into you. And so it becomes a loop that happens over and over and over and keeps it on replay. Okay. So when does it begin? Now that we know what it looks like post-trauma, right? So we know that, post-traumatic events. So we know that it starts, it can be a family dynamic, and we can also allow it, post-trauma, we can bring it into our career, our finances, with our friends, the self-sabotage. We're sabotaging those relationships. We're sabotaging those opportunities. We're sabotaging, ourselves. But then when does it begin? When did this happen, right? When did it go on play? So I kind of said it in the beginning. So self-fulfilling prophecy, right, happens before the age 7. So those first 7 years of our life, we're like a sponge. We're holding on to what we're experiencing and hearing around us. So studies show that before the age of 7, we get most of our mental development and our social skills. So depending on the quality of the interactions around us, from our parental figures, can really impact our self-esteem, okay, our beliefs, and our security. So beginning to examining the health of the dialogue, our environmental stressors, how was that dealt with, around us, and the projections. We begin to adopt these same aligning practices, and they can either support or hinder our very own actions into our lifestyle. Okay, so we're taking all of that information that we consumed before the age 7, right? So physically, emotionally, and how we also interact will then allow us to take that in to our relationships, our career, our finances, okay, our personal growth. We begin to start to play that tape, okay? We then begin to press play and we let it loop. Anytime we're starting to move outside of that comfort zone, we begin to press play or see where that ties in. And then once we hold on to that, potential failure, it's us proving that we weren't good enough for it anyway. I wasn't good enough to move. I'm not good enough to be a parental figure. I'm not good enough to ask for that raise. I'm not good enough to try that different skill or expand my education. Because that's what I heard before. That's what I heard the individuals around me stating. Yes? Okay. So if we go just a little bit deeper, just a bit, we start to look at briefly the attachment style. Ooh, that's different. So the attachment style, okay, can also, and I'll make a, I believe in the fight, flight, fawn session, you can go back and listen to that. I believe I do talk about the attachment styles as well. So you can always go back and enjoy that session and gather more information. But the attachment style can also impact how we develop our self-esteem, because in all reality, self-sabotage is a measuring tool of our self-esteem. Okay, so the attachment style can also impact how we develop our self-esteem and trust within ourselves, right? Do I trust? So maybe changing the dialogue, right? Asking yourself, do I trust myself to move across the country? Do I trust myself to be a mother? And if you're a male listening in, a father, right? Do I trust myself to take this leap into another career? Do I trust myself to have a conversation with my boss to ask for a raise? Do I trust myself to get the right materials to do upgrades in my home? Do I trust myself to maintain my health and have the conversation with my doctor or nutritionist? Okay, so 30% of the time, the child, right, develops secure attachment. So, there's the anxious avoidant, the anxious child who becomes, clingy. Anxious avoidant may be, actions of being, hypervigilant or upset or avoiding it altogether, and disorganized. And then we have secure, right? So 30%, and again, you can, determine what your attachment style is. But the idea is to find the secure attachment within ourselves. So 30% of the time, the child develops secure attachment, says Hindle. And this is from healthline.com. She adds that attachment is resilience to meet life's challenges. Whew. We're getting somewhere, right? We're going to bring it around full circle. So in secure attachment style, secure attachment style is the ideal style. So think about the challenge, right? Think about that challenge. Because again, when we're met with insecurity, do I trust myself to continue? Or am I hiding behind the loop, the tape, right, that's playing, saying that I'm not good enough, that I can't, I won't, It's not for me. Never. I'm not worthy of. So, what is that level of resilience? Okay? And it's okay to be, if you feel as though if you're going into your body right now and you're self-examining your breath and the sensations that you feel along with that goal or desire that I mentioned at the beginning of this session, okay? It's okay to say, wow, I am holding myself back. Or wow, I do have that tape playing. It's okay to say that. It's okay to be there. We're in this together. We are in this together. I'm right there with you. And so self-sabotage determines the health of our confidence, our self-trust, and self-esteem. Okay, our lives will be met with challenges, right? And so it's not that we want to talk ourselves away from those things that we truly want and desire. Okay? So it's not that when the challenges come, we go the other direction. We suit up. Ooh, oh my goodness, yes. We suit up in confidence, in love. We suit up in trust. And we say, this is for me. I'm not even there yet. Okay, we're not even there yet. Now, continue. Oh, goodness, it's so good. So, self-sabotage determines the health of our confidence, our self-trust, and our self-esteem. Our lives will be met with challenges, and in order to cultivate resilience, we want to develop a secure attachment within ourself. The knowing of who we are, right? Is this tape that's playing intergenerational, right? Is it because I can't ask for a raise because I knew that my great, I'm going way back, many generations. Is it because, I feel the grief or the guilt of my ancestors? Do I feel the grief or the guilt of my grandparents, of my parents? And so for that, I'm not worthy of asking for the raise? Or do I feel the grief of moving outside of the country because I know that I have no idea what I want to say to that one. The relation of others who don't have access to just pick up and leave, right? Am I holding on to the generations and generations of my very own trauma, right? Or the tape that's constantly on loop telling me that I can't, I won't, I'm not good enough, it's not for me. So how does self-sabotage linger into adulthood? It impacts our relationships, our friendships, and even our career, okay? Because the self-esteem may be impacted, it can cause emotions such as unworthiness, right? Fear, right? So when we go back and we explore the sensations that we have coincide with the dream or desire that we want, what's showing up for you? Is it fear? Is it insecurity? Lack of support? Lack of resources? Okay? Because maybe those things are true, but it shouldn't stop us, right? It shouldn't stop us from being able to move forward. Again, we don't go in the other direction and we don't stay in what we think is comfortable. So we can find ourselves repeating old behaviors or acting out from a past lived experience. Okay. So, whoo, now that we, you can breathe, make sure you're breathing through this. Make sure you're breathing through this session. This is, yeah, right? It's hard when we have to look at ourselves, you know? It's hard when we have to be honest and look at ourselves and say, you know what? I haven't taken responsibility. Ooh, that's a tough one. I gotta hold myself accountable. I gotta commit to myself. Maybe asking yourself, how often do I sit in the front row for others around me, family, friends, coworkers? I sit in the front row for them, but I sit in the back row for me. Woo! Oh my goodness. A hard truth. Inhale. Exhale. Yeah, that's a hard truth. And I'm guilty of it. Most certainly. I will sit and cheer you on. And then spotlight's on me. Well, maybe. Well, because, or if, and when. Yeah. So having to have that hard truth to look at ourselves. You see me, if you're watching me on YouTube, for those who cannot see me on SoundCloud and Apple, when I just have this realization, I tend to rub my collarbone. And I had this realization as I'm speaking, oof, I've been holding myself back. I've been standing in my own way. Self-sabotage. Yeah. I'm telling you, we're in this together. So, Tanya, what can I do to heal this? I don't want to stand in my own way no more. I don't want to use I can't, I won't. I need to turn this tape off in my head, right? So, of course, we can do, if you're already in a practice of therapy, whether that's, cognitive, therapy, great. The first thing is self-awareness. I just had it. That's why I was rubbing my collarbone, feeling somewhat guilty. We're in this together. No judgment, judgment-free zone. And so practicing the idea of interrupting these harmful thoughts, right? They're harmful because we're not able to show up authentically for ourselves. Remember, we're sitting in the back row. So reframing is another important task, which allows us to go back to the time when the original tape started playing, right? When did it start? When did it start recording, and then when did it start playing? Oh my goodness. Yeah, takes a lot of work to do the work. And so breaking the cycle, right? So breaking the cycle of hurting, neglecting your desires and needs. So becoming fully aware of ourselves, our adopted unhealthy thought patterns, and accepting the fullness of who we truly are at our core. So turning within, if that means, taking a moment to sit in your meditation practice, if that is your practice, maybe it's sitting in prayer, maybe it's, sitting in the tub, sitting at the table, and, or sitting, if you have a patio or a deck, and just sit in the chair and watch the leaves and, listen to the leaves blow in the sun. I obviously need to go outside today. Or, sitting by the water and just turning within, okay? And examine, becoming fully aware. When did the tape started recording? Whose voice is on this tape? Because it's not yours, right? Self-sabotage also allows us to neglect the idea that things might actually go right. What if? What if it actually went right? What if I got to move across the country? What if I graduated from this new program? What if I met this person and just had this healthy dialogue and chemistry? And what if I became a legal guardian or a parental figure and I have this new bundle of joy? Oh my goodness. And what if I get to walk into my home and see all these beautiful upgrades? What if I get to experience the possibilities of abundance with this new raise? Oh my goodness. So self-sabotage tells us that we can neglect that and choose to accept the things that may go wrong. Right? So survival mode. All right? When we have those traumatic experiences, we're still moving and shifting and navigating the world in the idea that it's not for me, it can't be, I won't be, I'm unworthy, I can't accept it, it'll never happen, because things will actually go wrong and I'm comfortable where I am right now and I'd rather sit in the back row. So expecting to act out of survival proves that things aren't available or working out for us to live at our full potential. Because sometimes living at our full potential takes a little bit of work, and I don't want to do that. So I'd rather press play on the tape. Ooh, oh my goodness. This session isn't just for you, it's for me. It is for me. Oh my goodness. We're in this together. Someone hold my hand. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So good. So, not seeing yourself, right? Because self-sabotage allows us to not see ourselves. And so, I remember there was a moment in my life where I literally didn't want to see myself. So every time I would undress to get into the shower, had this tape running about my body and about how I looked and that I wasn't good enough for certain experiences because of the way I looked. And so because I had that tape playing, it played as I got undressed in front of the mirror, and I didn't look at my own self, and I would just hop in the shower. I didn't want to face me because the tape was playing. What was the need, right? And if I did, it would cause me to have to take responsibility in the areas in which I wanted to shift and obtain the things that I was actually worthy of and that I desired. Yeah. And so I love what Dr. Thema says. If I have the power to delay something in my life, listen closely. If I have the power to delay something in my life, I have the power to accelerate my own achievements and dreams. Oh my goodness. If I have the power to delay something in my life, I have the power to accelerate my achievement and dreams. Oh, so good. Well, that quote was to bring us to the close. And so I now want to introduce some questions that you can ask yourself. And I'll put this also in the notes below this session or this episode. And so it says, I want you to, so basically the first thing is to journal, right? And so for the homework, over the next week, begin to keep tally of your thoughts and explore where and when these thoughts or beliefs or actions start to form, okay? What ways can we disrupt this thought and accept and own our potential, right? Our fear or insecurity. Okay? So, importantly, what steps can we take to give ourselves compassion and reframe the thought into a healthy and loving dialogue with ourself? Okay, so other questions you can ask yourself in this journaling is, am I comfortable? Or am I comfortable, or am I intuitively believing I am capable for more abundance? That's the raise, that's the better relationship, that's the safer environment if you're looking to move, the career change or education or skill. Another question you can ask is, am I authentically living at my full potential, or by someone else's idea of me? Okay, saying that I'm incompetent, that I lack time management, education, stability, freedom. Maybe I have a criminal history. And so because of that tape saying that I'm incapable, then am I comfortable, or am I authentically living for what I want? Can I give myself grace? And when I make the mistake, and start to instill this compassion and give myself the healing and growing towards my desires. Yeah. So there are more questions. I'll include those in the notes. I don't want to overwhelm you. So again, if you need to replay anything back, or if this is so good, you're like, okay, this is my sign that I need to, own it, right? Own me, right? So, again, as we bring this to a close, so you'll have the homework, and I'll include that in the bottom. As I bring this to a close, I really want you to think about, where you are on your journey, and is that tape still playing? Is it on loop? It's so easy to get lost in the detours and limiting beliefs of others, right? Generations and generations back. But it's empowering, healing, and satisfying to our nervous system to know we trusted and believed in ourselves, right? To embark on the journey regardless of what it may look like on the other side. Okay? So trust yourself. I guarantee you will obtain the things that you truly desire. You will press, not just pause on the tape, but you will eject the tape that's constantly playing on loop. Thank you so much for listening, and I know this was a longer session. I kind of wanted to make it personable. I didn't want to rush through it. But thank you for listening in. I'm so grateful that you are here, and if it's not your first time, my goodness, welcome back. My heart is just a pounding. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And so I'll see you back in the next session. Remember to live abundantly, love your authenticity, and radiate organic happiness. In order to do so, you gotta, take the tape out and start to own your own wholeness. So, all right, homework down below. I'll see you back in the next session. Oh, I'm so excited to see all your comments. Share this with anyone who can benefit from it. Remember to, you can, follow more of my work, az.nomoretrauma on Instagram. I'm only there. I'm not on any other social platform. Is there anything else I wanted to share? More news to come, and different things coming up. If you're here in the state of Arizona, you can always join me in studio to join me on the mat. All right. See you back. Bye.
The recording has stopped.